Hello and welcome to Unfold. I am Jawad Tehami. In today's program, we are going to take up for discussion two important developments. The one that happened regarding the announcements by the US administration of President Donald Trump in the wake of that fatal shooting incident in Washington, D.C. The suspect of that shooting particular incident has been identified as an Afghan national. There are tougher measures which the U.S. administration is bringing in the wake of this particular shooting incident. In the second segment, we are going to talk about the fate of the 28-point peace proposal to resolve the Ukraine-Russia conflict, which was presented last week by U.S. President Donald Trump. So starting with the first segment, as I've already mentioned, the Trump administration is taking tough measures regarding immigration in the wake of the shooting incident that happened in Washington, D.C., in which one Afghan national has been identified as a suspect. And this particular shooting incident led to the killing of one National Guard soldier and critically wounded another. Now, President Donald Trump had termed this particular incident as an act of terror. And he had also ordered the U.S. authorities to re-examine all the green cards for every alien from every country of concern. Also, in his latest announcement, President Donald Trump has said, let me quote, "I will permanently pause migration from all the third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover, terminate all the millions of Biden illegal admissions." Unquote. It is also pertinent to mention over here that Afghan nationals' requests for immigration were suspended immediately for an indefinite period of time by the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services after this particular shooting incident. It is also worth mentioning over here that Afghanistan is one of those countries out of 19 countries which are on the travel ban list, which was issued by the Trump administration back in the month of June. At the same time, we have also seen a statement that has come forth by Pakistan's Foreign Office, which has condemned the attack and urged the international community to reinvigorate the collective efforts in countering terrorism. The statement further said, let me quote, "This targeted attack was undoubtedly an act of terrorism and a heinous assault on U.S. soil. For the past 2 decades, Pakistan has endured countless similar terrorist incidents with clear linkages to Afghanistan." Unquote. Let me quickly bring in Mr. SAJID TARAR. We are really honored and privileged to have been joined by him through the video link. He happens to be the founder of American Muslims for Trump and Chief Executive Officer for Center for Social Change. Mr. Tarar, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on the show tonight. We really appreciate that. Mr. Tarar, starting with this particular announcement by President Donald Trump, when he says that he is announcing a permanent pause for the immigration from all the third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover. Now, there are two important points in this particular statement. What do we understand of the permanent pause when the president talks about it? And what do we understand of all the third world countries? What's your take regarding that?
Donald Trump, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. Donald Trump is basically trying to say most of the developing countries where they are anti-American sentiments. Right now, there are many countries they are harboring the terrorists from, and those are having anti-American sentiment. Especially here, and again regarding this shooting, I want to bring up 2 points. Donald Trump continuously he was worried about Afghanistan, the armaments left behind the Biden administration during withdrawal. And second thing, the many people from Afghanistan, they were brought up here without any vetting process. So he was concerned about it. And now this accident, where one soldier has died yesterday or a couple of days back. So that has bring up to the front side that Afghanistan has to be taken care. And not only this, recent their attack on Tajikistan, where the 3 Chinese soldiers have been killed. And not only America and the China, European Union, and a lot of European countries, they already have issues with this Afghan refugee crisis. And developing countries we're talking about, particularly Somalia, Iran, and many other countries where they are continuously talking death to America slogans or death to America, anti-America movements. So that Donald Trump has a valid point that we need to make sure that those people, those are coming here, they understand American culture and American values, and they need to respect law and order. Last 12 years of Obama and Biden administration, countries' borders were widely open, and 24 million people, those Donald Trump used to call them invasion. So the people, we have no clue why they are here, how they are here, and what their intentions are. So Donald Trump is delivering his mandate. He has promised during his campaigns that the life of the citizen and the property of the citizen is his first priority. And I believe he's successful in closing border. And now he's determined to go after Taliban because he believes the armaments left behind the Biden administration in their country, they are enough to destabilize the whole region, including Pakistan and many other countries and Iran as well.
Right, Mr. TARAR, there are a number of very important points that you've highlighted. Now, one of those pledges during his presidential election campaign, I happen to have covered that presidential election over there. I got the opportunity to interview you over there as well, in which you also said that we believe that people should enter from the front door instead of jumping the wall, unquote. Now, this particular pledge by President Donald Trump during his presidential campaign, there are a number of measures which have already been taken during the past 1 year regarding immigration, and also that particular quote from President Trump's speech at that particular time, that when he'll be taking the office as the president, he will be undertaking the largest deportation drives in the United States of America. Now, how gigantic a task it is going to be, the kind of numbers and stats that you've actually shared, they make a huge chunk of how many people have actually entered the United States of America's territory, especially under President Biden's administration. How bigger a task it is going to be for the Trump administration to deal with this issue in a comprehensive manner?
Right now, the ICE, the immigration law enforcement, they are chasing all the criminals, especially people those came here illegally and have committed crime. They are doing a massive crackdown on them, and they are deporting them. Approximately close to 2 million people has been deported. Many are there in the prison, in the jails. And the second, Donald Trump is determined to deport at least 3 to 4 million people within first couple of years. And right now, the interesting thing is this: the border crossing has stopped. Almost 0% people, those are coming across the border. Whoever comes here, they are returned back, and most of the people, Donald Trump other day said he's saving lives because people, those have been coming from the faraway countries and dying in the process of it. Children of these illegal immigrants, they have been dying in the jungles of Panama and many other places. So not only he is saving America, he is saving lives, and this process has stopped. And this process, not only this, Donald Trump during his campaign, he used to said that more than 30,000 Chinese, they have crossed the border, Mexican border, and he used to claim that either China want to build their army in the US. So a lot of things, these illegal crossing has created a national crisis, especially regarding security of the country. And Donald Trump is very successful. He was given a mandate not only by the America, but 7 swing states have given the mandate that we need our border to be secured, law and order. Now the National Guard, which was shot down other day in Washington D.C., that is a part of the Donald Trump's plans to restore law and order in the open drug infested markets in the cities like Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, Chicago. All of these cities have been run by the Democrat mayors, and the corruption and law and orders, especially I'm sitting here in Baltimore area, more than 500 openings in police department are there. There is no police anywhere. The drug dealers are running the cities in this country, and that Donald Trump is determined to stop that.
Right. What are the lessons to be learned as far as that particular Biden administration's that Operation Allies Welcome is concerned, as per which there were many of the Afghan nationals which won the entry to the United States of America? Are there any lessons to be learned from this particular act of Biden administration?
Because it's a big debatable subject. Everything taking place in the world right now, I can debate on it. It's related to the 12 years of Obama and Biden weak foreign policy. because they were not trying to focus on them. And plus, internally, they have been focusing on the socialist agenda, legalizing marijuana, weed, and defunding police and self-policing and many other socialist agenda. They were trying to focus on it. So not only they have destabilized the world, America has become weaker. At the same time, Donald Trump has a huge task of cleaning all of the mess created in 12 years, and he has to clean it within 4 years. That's why he's confused and nervous most of the time. But he has stopped 8 wars in 8 months, National Guard everywhere. So the lesson has been learned that, the socialist agenda it's not good for the world. It's not good for America. And Donald Trump is trying to go to bring back the stability in the country. And he has, like I told you, 8 wars in 8 months. So the world is relieved that Donald Trump is a peace-loving president, and he's trying to achieve his objectives through the tariff instead of war. So that definitely this year he may receive the Nobel Peace Prize doing this peace-loving things in the world. But Donald Trump, the lesson is this: the world can be a peaceful place again.
Right, Mr. Tarar, when it comes to re-examining the green cards of every alien from every country of concern, what is the procedure of if the green cards are revoked? Are there going to be any sort of legal challenges on the way to revocation of green cards if the concerned authorities find some of those cards in such sort of a scenario?
Revoking green card is not that difficult, first of all, because it's just like a temporary status. Right now, matter of fact, Donald Trump administration is already looking for to even then taking the citizenships away from there. They are, according to the law, if somebody is involved in some federal crimes, that your citizenship can be revoked. At the same time, ultimately, it will be a case-to-case based things to revoke green cards where somebody has committed crimes, or his background in the country he came from, or he has given some false statements during his procedures, and the green card can be revoked. A matter of fact, that the law is already we have laws to take the green card back, but he means that the law will be enforced if somebody is lying that why he's here in this country, that he has to be deported.
Mr. Tarar, could this particular move be challenged in the U.S. courts as well? Are there going to be any sort of legal impediments as far as the implementation of this particular move is concerned?
There are some lawyers. The Democrat Party is trying to take it to the court, and maybe there's some court may offer some kind of a relief on it. But right now, if it goes toward the Supreme Court, most of the Supreme Court judges, they are conservative at the moment, and Donald Trump will receive the relief from that side. And plus, he is trying to deliver his mandate, making America safe again, great again. So that's what is related to. And like I told you, no green card will be taken away if somebody is law-abiding citizen. But somebody has made some false statement or have committed some kind of crime, he has to be deported.
Right. Mr. Tarar, I want your understanding. If we try to differentiate by looking at this particular statement by President Donald Trump when he says, quote unquote, all the third world countries, we also know for a fact that back in June, there was a list with a travel ban on 19 countries. Now, Afghanistan happens to be one of those countries. Do we understand that all those third world countries which have been referred to by President Donald Trump in this latest announcement actually only pertain to that particular list which was earlier issued back in June, which has 19 countries on it?
Yes, I have seen that list. As a matter of fact, most of those countries have issues that there no documentation verification process can take up there. Right now, personally, let me ask you, most of the Afghanis, they are carrying the Pakistani passport. More than 500,000 Afghanis, they are roaming around the world with the Pakistani passports. In a similar situation, Somalia, Sudan, and many other African countries, which he means by the third world countries, they have no system intact where the documentation verification can take place. So ultimately, it's a threat. We need to, when somebody approach American soil or something, the officer has to know what their objectives are and what kind of skills and what their objectives are to come to US. And that's what he means, developing countries, and especially 19 those countries, anti-America sentiment, and plus at the same time, fraudulent documentation That's what he means. I have observed the name of the 19 countries.
This
Yes.
particular challenge of refugees Pakistan has also faced over the last many decades. And you have also tweeted a few days back regarding as to the status of refugees. They had enjoyed every benefit here in Pakistan. I'll come to that particular tweet of yours regarding that particular status of Afghan refugees, which has been a challenge for Pakistan over the number of decades. But before heading to that, there are certain voices which are criticizing this particular move by President Donald Trump's administration, which say that potential consequences of these moves could include family separations, visa delays, heightened scrutiny, and expanded deportation risks. So when it comes to the principles of family unity or family unification, what do you think? Are these moves in line with those principles of the United States of America's Constitution?
The Democrat Party has been using this phrase since a long time against Republicans, the family separation or something. But Donald Trump has said many times that now if they deport, they will deport the whole family instead of keeping the kids here, or deporting kids and keeping parents here. But plus here, I wanted to come to your second question regarding Afghanistan. Pakistan has been feeding these Afghan refugees for 40 years. Let me give you an example of the Mullah Muttaqi was grown up in a Karachi. Son of Mullah Umar, Mullah Yaqub, was grown up in a Karachi. So they are most of them, they were born here, educated here. And look at this, today they are standing with India for dollars. So the thing is this, they have proven themselves that they are not worth dealing with. And they are always dollar-hungry people. They have no loyalty, no feelings for Pakistan, which is embarrassing. And that's what. And imagine what they're going to do to America when many of them, they came here without any vetting process. So, and not only in America and Pakistan, the Europe and European Union, they are taking some measures as well to deport these people because they are breaking laws there, raping kids there. It's unbelievable. I think, and plus China now, they have killed 3 Chinese citizens the other day in Tajikistan. So I think the world is getting sick of them.
Right. That is exactly the sentence that you have actually used in your tweet. Let me re-quote it once again. Pakistan kept Afghan refugees in Pakistan for 40 years. Their entire leadership group up in Pakistan. Today, they are working with Pakistan's enemies for dollars. The entire world is sick of them now, unquote. That's the tweet that you did a few days back. Now, when it comes to the entire world becoming sick of them, it was expected back in 2021 when the international troops withdrawal was happening that probably it is going to be the 2.0 version of the Afghan Taliban. Now, when the world has gone sick entirely from them now, what are the options ahead? We have seen research terrorism happening in Pakistan where Afghan nationals have been found involved in that. What are the ways forward? Do we understand that there is unanimity or the consensus of view when it comes to the Western powers, most particularly the US itself, along with the view how the regional countries are actually viewing Afghanistan under Afghan Taliban at this particular point in time?
Two things I wanted to tell you. First of all, you have to define Taliban. Taliban is not a one party. It's a group of parties, and they're together just to make money. That's number one. And second thing is this: the world has have done everything. You have been in Doha. You have been in Istanbul. Turkey has tried. Qatar has tried. Iran is trying. But they don't understand because they are getting money from India at this point. So the second thing is that tactic is not working. The only option is left to attack Afghanistan right now, which Pakistan need to do it because they don't know what to negotiate, how to negotiate. And when somebody, one country like India, I'm giving you an example, when they are giving them money and everything, why they need to negotiate? So the only option on the table is just to attack. Each time they're committing any kind of a terrorism act in Pakistan, Pakistan has to retaliate. They have to answer and attack their cities and then come to the negotiation table. Taliban, they are not easy people. And not, like I told you, Taliban is not a one group. It's a group of money-hungry groups there together to make money. So money objective is not working. UAE has given them money several times, but that money goes to the different hands, and they start asking more money. So the only option on the table is to retaliate, to teach them a lesson. And
the option is to retaliate. I seek your pardon for the interjection over here. What I understand from your take, Mr. Tarar, is that Pakistan has to be at the position of strength. Pakistan has to act from the position of strength in order to make the Afghan Taliban to come to the negotiating table and then also accede to whatever their international obligation as per the Doha Accord, which was of course struck between Afghan Taliban and the United States of America, which made an obligation upon them that they won't allow the Afghan soil to be used for terrorist activity against any other country. But Mr. Tarar, Pakistan has suffered so much over the last 2 decades when it came to the war on terror, being the frontline ally in the war on terror. Since the Kabul takeover by the Afghan Taliban, Pakistan has seen once again the resurgence of terrorism. You are of the view that Pakistan has the right to retaliate and it should attack. Now, when it comes to this gigantic exercise, of course, it's going to incur a lot of cost. It is going to take a lot of resources if Pakistan takes that particular path ahead. Now, being the frontline ally in the war on terror for the 2 decades and suffering billions of dollars of worth losses in economy, losing over 80,000 lives, innocent lives in this war on terror, US-led international troops withdrew in a hasty and a chaotic manner, leaving those armaments behind also. I'll come to that particular aspect also. Now this particular incident happens in Washington, D.C., which President Donald Trump calls it an act of terror. Don't we see a clear convergence once again of the US and Pakistan when it comes to addressing this scourge of terrorism, which has been supported and assisted by Afghan Taliban emanating from Afghan soil?
According to my understanding, I see the new partnership coming from the America, Pakistan, and not only this, whatever happened the other day in Tajikistan, killing of the 3 Chinese citizens, I believe this will be the new partnership among China, Pakistan, and America against Afghanistan. And like I told you now, since all the armaments was left behind America, America has to bear the cost of it, and America, I believe, is willing to do that. Otherwise, Donald Trump has said many times that they have sold many of the armaments to the different terrorist groups, and that armament is enough to destabilize the whole region. So before it takes place, the new partnership has to be created and responded. And I see it responding pretty soon. Recently, American ambassador in the Pakistan, she has met with Mohsen Naqvi, and not only this, she has recognized the sacrifices of Pakistan, and she has promised that America is standing with Pakistan in this war of terror. So I believe it's a new partnership will be emerging soon, and Donald Trump administration will be standing behind Pakistan if Pakistan plans to retaliate.
What about, is there any sort of a possibility when it comes to this particular issue of the ready availability of these NATO caliber weapons at the hands of the terrorist outfits which are based in Afghanistan? Is there something that can be done to retrieve all those leftover weapons?
Matter of fact, that Donald Trump is worried about it. He has asked this question from Taliban. Give us the list of the people those you have sold the weapons or location of the weapons. He has asked. And second thing, right now the chatter is working in Washington, D.C. It's going on. America may be preparing or getting ready for the attack on Kabul or in Afghanistan before the next move come from the Taliban, because there are a lot of sleeper cells there in the US, and America cannot afford to lose any more of their soldiers or any more of the citizen. And I'm telling you, it's very sensitive, and Washington, D.C. is very much concerned and worried about whatever happened one day before the Thanksgiving.
Right. One last quick question, Mr. Tarar. Let's suppose a scenario emerges when there is an international unanimity. We have seen back-to-back reports coming from multiple bodies from within the United Nations, most particularly the Sanctions Monitoring Committee of the United Nations Security Council. If the world at large, including the major powers, reach on this consensus points that there has to be an attack in order to make the Afghanistan a safer, secure place, what possibly could be the implications, not only when it comes to the world at large? Would the world at large be able to manage and address this scourge of terrorism that emanates from Afghanistan soil? And if that scenario happens, what are going to be the implications for the Afghan people in general who have endured the suffering and misery for the last many, many decades because of war over there?
Matter of fact, they have to decide it right now. The people living in there, they have to get rid of Taliban. Matter of fact, because the Taliban, they know it. What is causing this pain to the rest of the world, and plus, the whole scenario has changed since in last 2 days when the 3 Chinese have been killed by the drone attack by the Taliban sympathizer, some organization. So the thing is, right now, if you personally ask me, Donald Trump is a non-traditional president. He will not wait for the whole world to support this attack or his decision. And he has said it in his tweets that the Taliban have to pay the price, whatever has happened the other day. So, and he has taken the strong measures regarding putting hold on the green cards and doing the whole rechecking process. So the Donald Trump is very serious about it. Before he came to the White House, this was already on his table because Pentagon was destabilized by the hasty withdrawal of Americans with the dead bodies on their shoulders. So this was already on his plate to fix that. And after this attack on Washington, D.C., I think now he has to take the strong measure, and he will take some decision within a week or 10 days.
Mr. SAJID TARAR, it was a great pleasure and honor to have you during this particular course of conversation. Thank you very much for taking time out for Unfold Tonight. Mr. SAJID TARAR, founder of American Muslims for Trump and Chief Executive Officer for the Center for Social Change. Thank you very much for being with us on Unfold Tonight. In this particular segment, we try to unfold as to the sweeping measures, the tougher measures the Trump administration is trying to take in the wake of that fatal shooting incident that happened in Washington, D.C. that led to the killing of 1 National Guard soldiers and critically wounded the other one. Stronger statements are coming from President Donald Trump, and likewise, the authorities within the United States of America are taking tough measures when it comes to the Afghan nationals, which were given entry during President Joe Biden's administration, and what could be the possible options when it comes to impressing upon the Afghan Taliban to fulfill their international obligation that they had agreed to in the Doha Accord, that they won't allow the Afghan soil to be used against any other country. This brings us to the end of the first segment. In the second segment, we are going to delve deeper into what is the fate of that 28-point peace plan of President Donald Trump, which he presented last week in order to resolve the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Right after a short break. For that, stay tuned. Welcome back to Unfold. In this particular segment, we are going to talk about, is there any sort of a chance the 28-point peace plan, which was presented by President Donald Trump in order to resolve the Ukraine-Russia conflict last week, stand any chance of getting approval from all the stakeholders, which include, of course, the Ukrainian side, the Russian side, the E3, which include the UK, France, and Germany, and of course, the US itself. Also, there is an optimism that has been expressed by Russia's president, Mr. Vladimir Putin, that he says that this particular plan could serve as a foundation for the future talks and agreement, and Russia is ready for serious discussion on. But at the same time, he has insisted that the Ukrainian troops must withdraw from the territories they hold. On the other hand, we have seen Ukraine saying that it rules out any such possibility, at the same time saying that the peace plan has been altered with Ukrainian input, and the US and Ukrainian officials will continue to work on the plan. At the same time, we are also seeing there was a pushback by E3, which include the UK, France, and Germany, which all of these 3 countries came up with a joint statement, also giving an alternative proposal of their own. Let me quickly bring in our esteemed panel of guests who are joining us through the link. Dr. SHAZIA, CHEEMA, expert in international relations. Dr. SHAZIA, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on the show tonight. We really appreciate that. Also, through the video link, we are honored to be joined by Dr. Hasan Zafar. He is a senior analyst. Dr. Zafar, thank you very much for your time also for being with us on the show tonight. We really appreciate that. Ms. Dr. Shazia, let me begin with you. Now, basically looking at there are three different aspects to this particular equation. Firstly, let's talk about as the fighting rages on between Ukrainian troops and the Russian troops. The Russians claim that they are making a rapid advance, and the kind of pace they are making advance, and they claim that Ukrainians are losing territory with every single passing day. Do you think this particular moment, as which had been described earlier by President Zelensky, as one of the toughest moments in Ukrainian history, does it make us understand that this is the time for the Ukrainian leadership in order to agree to that particular proposal which has been presented by the US administration, or continue to fight for the dignity and continue to lose more territory at the hands of Russians?
To my understanding, yes, this is the right time for the Ukrainians to sit on the table and discuss, because just hours ago, Ukraine has encircled Zaporozhye, and the city of Polya has been collapsed. So the claim that Russia is advancing rapidly, that is like a point which can be agreed or disagreed, because they are advancing, but the speed of the advance could be discussed, but they are advancing. So they are advancing in Zaporozhye. They have acquired the entire Donbas region and Kherson. So after Polya, there is only two cities, major cities between Russia and the Dnieper River. So I think this is the right time that Ukraine should sit for negotiation. But the point is that Ukraine is in position of sitting on the negotiation table, or Ukraine needs some kind of green signals from the allies, or from the countries or the nations upon which behalf the Ukraine is fighting. So I don't think that Europeans are yet ready, because today Kaja Kallas has given a statement and said that all the narrative of Ukraine is losing is false. So we should push for more sanctions. We should go for like more arsenal, and we can make Russia to sit on the negotiation table, and we can propose our own proposal, and then we can gain some territory, or some other we can put some other demands. So this is a very chaotic situation. The problem is that West is fighting a war on the basis of narrative. From the day one, Ukraine was like sealed. Ukraine's fate was sealed, just like Afghanistan, that Ukraine is going to lose. And it's not going to be the loss of Ukraine. It will be the loss for the entire West, especially for the NATO. And how they are going to digest that, and how they are going to um, have some kind of face keeping from that, this is another question. But so far your question is concerned, this is the right time. I think the myth...
To that particular point, Dr. Shazia, I seek your pardon for the interjection over it. That is a very important point, and it needs your holistic and comprehensive view also. Dr. Hasan Zafar, Dr. Zafar, what's your opinion, looking at the ground situation at this particular point in time? Who do you think has got the upper edge when it comes to Russian claims that they are gaining the territory with every single passing day? And not only the gain of territory, but also the pace, the push which they are making at this particular point in time. On the other side, we see Ukrainian officials saying that they are not going to sign away the territory at the hands of Russians. So who do you think is having the upper hand at this particular point in time? And also, given the fact that President Zelensky said that it is the toughest moment in Ukrainian history, whether they have to decide between their dignity and continue to fight, or losing the support of a close ally, which is the United States of America. What's your understanding?
Thank you very much, Misa, for the question. Well, the short answer is Russia clearly has an upper hand. Look at the ground situation. 2 million Ukrainian soldiers have died, 1 million have fled, 8 million civilians have left the country. They have barbed wired the borders, so the existing Ukrainian troops do not flee from the battlefield. So that is how the situation is. Russia clearly has an upper hand there. Now look at these 28 points. One point says that, yes, NATO is not going to expand, which was the Russian pretext for the invasion of Ukraine, that they were pushing close to their border. So that is already included in the 28 points. And then Eurofighters will be stationed in Poland. This is tricky, because I don't know if the Russians will be happy with this idea of stationing the European jets in Poland, because Poland and Russia, they have a serious problem. But we'll come to that later. Now, from looking the whole thing from the Russian angle, what appears quite complicated here is that if you read the researches that are coming out from the think tanks in Moscow, they are more interested in expanding towards Eurasia, that is, Central Asia, former USSR republics, Iran, Afghanistan. They want to see their future here, not in the Eastern Europe. Now, Eastern Europe is a problem for them. US think tanks have been insisting that we have made a grave mistake by pushing NATO close to the Russian borders, and real target should have been China. Now, I think these 28 points also indicate a shift in the US thinking at this moment, because the kind of pressure they are mounting on China from Japan, from India. We know the statement of the Japanese Prime Minister. We know the Indian presence in Afghanistan, their desire to have access to Bagram Air Base, and a recent drone attack on Chinese workers in Tajikistan. So the game is shifting eastward, and they want to, probably the US want to free themselves from paying too much attention to the Eastern Europe. That's why they have proposed these 28 points, which clearly have a favorable look for the Russians at the moment. But stationing of, apart from one point, which I think is tricky here, that's the stationing of Eurojets in Poland. So that is how it looks. And clearly, President Zelensky of Ukraine has made grave mistakes, grave miscalculations. He shouldn't have made this move of trying to join NATO in the first place. That has brought all the tragedy upon his country. So that's how things look at the moment. But several things still remain very, very unclear. Is Russia interested in stopping the war itself? That is the big
SHAZIA. Let me once again proceed towards Dr. SHAZIA. Dr. Hassan Zafar, I see your partner for the injection over here. Dr. SHAZIA, you are of the view that this is the time at this particular point in moment. It is up to Ukraine, and Ukraine must sit for the negotiation. We know for a fact they are sitting for the negotiation. They're expressing the desire. They want to work on this plan in association with the US officials also. But looking at that particular clause of this particular 28-point peace plan by President Donald Trump, which talks about the territories, which is point number 21, why do you think would the Ukrainians surrender or give away those territories, which they view, if they give away those territories, it is going to lead Russia to directly invade their capital, Kyiv?
See, it's not up to Ukraine or West or America, for that matter, to discuss or decide that whether or not Russia is going to take those territories. Russia practically has conquered those territories, and those territories are, it is very important to understand that those territories are majority Russian ethnic and Russian speaking people. So Russia don't have any problem having all the oblast westward to Dnieper. Russia does not want to cross Dnieper because after Dnieper, Kiev and the surrounding, there is a real problem because those people are hyper ethnic Ukrainian or hyper nationalistic, and they hate Russia, so Russia just don't want that liability. But if Ukraine is not going to sit on the table right now, Russia has to move to Kiev. So we have to understand that Russia, somebody has to stop Russia. Why would Russia stop? I mean, Russia started this war to support the civilian population of Donbass from the purge from the Kiev regime to ban their canonical church and their language and Russian culture. So it was Russia invaded, if we can call it, Ukraine on demand of the Ukrainian people. And the Minsk Accord is the testament for that. It was an accord between the people of the Donbass and the Kiev regime. And when Russia stepped into Ukraine, it has just two agendas: denazification and demilitarization. So it doesn't matter that how this process is going to end, but these two objectives has to be achieved, and Russia is bit by bit achieving these objectives. Now the issue is that why NATO and the broader West has put Ukraine as a proxy war. So answer could be like, it's easy for us to understand if we replicate the same situation of Afghanistan, that why Afghanistan was used and including us to harm USSR. So the same answer is you use the proxy to balkanize Russia, to plunder the resources, to have this innate animosity, Anglo-Saxon animosity, that you, as Dr. Saab was saying, that we have ruined an entire nation. The only problem was that not banning the Russian culture and the Russian language and giving the basic rights of the Russian population inside the Russia. But instead of doing that, after Yanukovych, another puppet was installed, and then another puppet was installed, and those puppets has nothing in hand. And now the Kiev regime has Azov brigades, they have Banderites, the reminiscence of the Stefan Bandera, and they are not in control of the Kiev regime. So it's the similar situation now, and I'm reiterating it time and again that the Ukraine is going to be the Afghanistan for Europe, and they will not have any solution, and there will be a chaotic withdrawal from the Ukraine of the NATO forces. And this is, I don't mind saying that Ukrainians are not fighting this war. This war is fought by the NATO forces, by the US, and now US is not interested in prolonging that war because they are basically calculating their cost effect. So they are not winning the war. General Kellogg has resigned. Steve Witkoff has called off his visit to Moscow, and these 28 plans, which are practically the agenda points of the Alaska meeting, they have not been negotiated. They have not been agreed upon. They are just proposed. So couple of clauses it suits Russia, and others they doesn't. So that doesn't mean that Russia is going
Dr.
to sit
Shazia, unfortunately, we are pressed with time. Let me once again proceed towards Dr. Hassan Zafar. Dr. Zafar, when we talk about, there is a counter proposal by the E3, the UK, France, and Germany. Now, the number of the Ukrainian troops, which Donald Trump's 28-point peace plan talks about, to reduce it to 600,000. Now, this particular counter proposal talks about 800,000 people, not fewer than that particular. And also, when it talks about, it also has ruled out those territorial exchanges, this particular alternate proposal by the E3. What do you see? There is a difference of understanding and approach between the US and these E3 countries in particular, and what does that indicate at this particular point in time? What is the way forward when it comes to the US relationship with these three countries collectively?
Tehami Saab, your question takes my mind back to the time when the Vice President of the United States made a lecturing speech to the Europeans last year. And that meant they want to keep the Europeans on the high alert all the time. In order to keep Europe under US domination, it is important, apparently, I'm trying to pick my words with utmost care. It is important that the Americans keep the Europeans on the edge all the time. Otherwise, why would they listen to the United States? They want uh, they want the Europeans to buy American weapons because that is the only industry that is working in the United States at the moment. So arms exports is important for the USA, and they want to keep the Europeans on the edge so they can keep buying the American weapons. So I don't see that with these 28 points, things are going to settle down to all of a sudden. But there is another part of it which brings a ray of hope. And that is if the US wants to shift its focus on China entirely, then they have to withdraw from Russia, at least for the time being, and leave this project for another time. But when I'm saying leaving this project for another time, that means it will keep coming back. It will come back one day, unless everything is not settled. The Russian, and the question of territories is very important. If Russia is given these territories and the world recognizes it, it is setting a very dangerous precedence here. And that is, it sets a precedence for whatever Israel is doing in the Middle East if they conquer, for example, Syrian territories or Lebanese territories.
Pardon for the interjection over here. This particular point number 21 talks about that these territories will be recognized as de facto Russian, including by the US. So it's not going to be a de jure recognition of these territories as being Russian.
Because if these territories can be recognized as de facto Russian territories, then any other territory in the world that is conquered by a powerful country can be recognized in the same way. You are setting a precedence that lays the foundation of a new international order, a new international law. Conquered territories will be recognized as part of the country that conquered it. So what is the future of the world after this? That is a very important, and I think it's a very sensitive thing. I have no idea what they had in mind when they drafted these proposals, knowing what it could mean in the future. Which other countries?
Unfortunately, we are pressed with time. Dr. Hasan Zafar, what your last closing comment as to the kind of optimism which has been expressed by President Putin. He has also said that this particular plan could serve as a foundation for the future deal that Russia is ready for serious discussion on. And he has also acknowledged that the US took the Russian point of view into account. Also, how do you look at this one? Your quicker comment regarding this, please.
It's a win-win for President Putin. Either way, these 28 points clearly include the demands of the Russians, recognition of these territories as de facto Russian territories. And NATO will not push close to the Russian border. That was the fundamental thing that caused all this to happen in the first place. So it's a win-win for the Russians. And the card ultimately remains with the Russians. They can say, you have stationed these troops here, you are doing this thing again, and placing the jets, Euro jets in Poland. Well, it can trigger any time again. It does not guarantee.
Point. Dr. Hasan Zafar, let me take a closing comment by Dr. Shazia also. Dr. Shazia, the point number 26 of this plan talks about the amnesty. Amnesty, all parties involved in this conflict will receive full amnesty for their actions during the war and agree not to make any claims or consider any complaints in the future. What does it mean when it comes to those warrants for President Vladimir Putin by ICC? Do we understand they will automatically be revoked?
I think it's more of the war crimes of the Ukrainians and the Zelensky, because Russians are pursuing for that. So it will favor more to Ukrainians, and Russia will not agree to that. That's my understanding of that. But so far, this agreement tilting this way or that way is concerned, um, we have to see and we have to understand that who has the upper hand in that. It is a whole as big that it can engulf the entire Europe in it. Ukraine require $140 trillion euros to survive for next 6 months. So their economy has been collapsed, their tax system has been collapsed, the politicians and the government structure is collapsing, and the people, the government personnel, they are fleeing the country and taking refugees or political asylum, such as their energy minister, such as the close ally of and confidant of Zelensky
Shazia, Anwar,
himself.
CHEEMA expert, international relations, thank you very much for being with us on the show tonight. We really appreciate that. Dr. HASAN ZAFAR, senior analyst. Dr. ZAFAR, thank you very much for your time also for being with us on Unfold tonight. We really appreciate that. With that, we come to the end of today's episode of Unfold. Till the next one, take good care of yourselves.